Hi, I'm Jenn Hind, and I'm a student minister here at Trillium United Church. You know, I love the chapter 31 in the book of Jeremiah. In this chapter, the Lord talks about the blessings in the barren land. When I think about times of adversity and some painful trials that I've gone through in my life and relate that to the barren land that the Lord is talking about, it's kind of exciting to realize, once we've come through those times and the pain has subsided a little bit, and we reflect on it, and we realize that our life has been changed in some way, or we have a new sort of self-awareness, or we have a new sense of clarity that has, or new insight that has resonated within us, and we can extract those sort of nuggets of light, if you will, out of these painful times. We can very much attribute these to blessings. One of the ways that I really relate to this text is through my own personal experience. And in 2010, I lost my dad suddenly to cancer, and I was in a incredibly dark place, feeling very lost, feeling very confused. It brought up a lot of emotional complications for me. And when I was really in sort of the thick of that, in the middle of that, it was really hard to see what possibly could be the blessings in the middle of this. But once, if we can step back and reflect back and look at these things and look at the ways our life has been changed as a result of it, there are blessings to be found from within the barren land. And this is a very important topic that the Lord is prompting us to look at, because a lot of times, we feel abandoned. We feel some sort of punishment when we're going through these hard times. But the Lord quite clearly declares in this chapter that there are blessings to be had. And I know for me, when I look back at my painful time, that time really forced me to reevaluate things in my life, to really look at what was fruitful and what wasn't. I experienced my own sort of mortality crisis, and I really was sort of stopped and really needed to reevaluate what was meaningful in my life and what wasn't. And through that, I gained a lot of self-awareness and introspection that I wasn't quite able to achieve on my own before this time of adversity. And so when I think about that also too, with the Israelites who had been exiled in Babylon, this is what this chapter is talking about. When the Israelites were in exile, they too had an opportunity to learn about themselves and to rebuild their relationship with God. And this is something that was really important that happened through their time in exile. And this chapter 31 is celebrating the joy of the return, and it's talking about their tears of joy. And these tears of joy are not just because they're celebrating the end of adversity. These tears are coming from a deeper place. These tears are coming from a place of new growth, of a closer and deeper relationship that they had in returning to the covenant. So, and learning more about who their God really was and how their God was saving them. And I too have recognized the way God has saved me through that experience when I lost my dad. And thirdly, when I think about Jesus and his followers and disciples, you see, Jesus' disciples firmly believed that Jesus had come, Jesus was the Messiah, and Jesus was going to establish an earthly kingdom and overthrow their Roman oppressors and save them in their current time. That was the epitome of salvation for them. But then when Jesus was beaten and crucified on the cross, they were completely traumatized, lost and confused. This wasn't the way things were supposed to happen. They thought Jesus was going to overthrow their Roman oppressors imminently and establish an earthly kingdom. And when that didn't happen, they needed to reevaluate and reconcile these events. They needed to understand and see things differently. And by coming to terms with that, by coming to terms with the fact that salvation was not going to look the way they thought it was going to look, essentially, Christianity flourished. So we can say that essentially Christianity flourished out of a very traumatic time, out of a barren land. They needed to understand that salvation was going to look different than what they thought it was. And this was a very important distinction to make. See, sometimes we need to see things differently. And, and again, these are the things that come out of the barren land. God is showing to us, asking us to reflect on our times of adversity and seek God in the midst of those times, and seek the way our life is being changed, the way the way a clarity is happening within us, the way our paths are maybe being changed. I'm also reminded, I have a banner that hangs on my wall at home that says, "Sometimes in the winds of change, we find our true direction." And that's essentially the message that's coming out of this first section in the chapter 31 that talks about the blessings in the barren land. In what ways has your adversity changed you, created a new path for you, or illuminated or facilitated a deeper awareness within you that's created something better, that's led to a goodness in your life or a renewal? So my challenge for you for this week would be to sit in reflection and come up with a few things that you could relate as blessings in your barren land. What are the blessings in your barren land? Amen.